President and founder of Healing Our Village, and Executive Director of Total Lifestyle Change. Welcome to Diabetes, the Truth About It. Is your blood sugar under good control? Do you understand the effects of diabetes on your eyes and kidneys? Are you on the correct insulin injection? Are you having trouble controlling your weight? Are you following your physician's advice? It is critical that you're using your diabetes medicines correctly. Diabetes, the Truth About It, is here to help you. Check out HOV Health to learn everything you need to know to manage your diabetes and prevent complications. Let's talk about diabetes and heart disease. Did you know that 68% of people age 65 or older with diabetes die from heart disease, and about 60% of them die from stroke? Did you know that adults with diabetes are 2 to 4 times more likely to die from heart disease than adults that do not have diabetes? The American Heart Association considers diabetes to be one of the 7 major controllable risk factors for cardiovascular disease. African Americans die 50% more frequently from heart disease and 80% more frequently from strokes than Caucasians. The thing about heart disease and diabetes is that even when the blood glucose is under control, you are still at risk of having a potential heart attack or stroke. The reason is that many patients with type 2 diabetes have risk factors that contribute to their heart disease. For instance, high blood pressure or hypertension is a major risk factor for cardiovascular disease, and nearly 80% of patients with diabetes also have high blood pressure. If you have both diabetes and high blood pressure, your risk for heart disease doubles. Patients with diabetes have a very high circulating level of insulin. This is called hyperinsulinemia. High insulin levels lead to insulin resistance, which affects your cholesterol levels. High cholesterol can lead to heart attacks and stroke. Thank you. Let's talk about diabetes and heart disease part 2. Did you know that 80% of people with diabetes are obese or overweight? We know that obesity is a major risk factor for heart disease and has been strongly associated with high circulating levels of insulin, which is called insulin resistance. The lack of regular exercise is a major risk factor for insulin resistance and heart disease. Exercising on a regular basis and losing weight can prevent or delay the onset of type 2 diabetes. Believe it or not, there are still people in the United States that smoke cigarettes or cigars. Smoking, whether you have diabetes or not, increases your risk for heart disease and stroke. It is important that you keep your blood sugar under tight control, and that means you need to have a hemoglobin A1C at 7% or less, and when you wake up in the morning, your blood sugar should be between 90 and 130 milligrams per deciliter. Tight control will help you, especially if you have heart disease. You can determine your cardiovascular risk score by going to the internet and putting in cvriskcalculator.com. From that calculator, you will put in all of your risk factors and it'll give you a percentage. And we hope that you are less than 10%. If your cardiovascular risk score is 10% or greater, you need to have a conversation with your doctor to determine your risk factors that you can start to eliminate to decrease your cardiovascular risk score. If you have diabetes, you need to test your blood sugar at home on a regular basis. Self-monitoring of blood sugar is critical to your understanding how the foods you eat affect your blood sugar. We know that certain foods can cause your blood sugar to spike. These are generally foods that are high in carbohydrates, like candy, ice cream, donuts, pasta, rice, potatoes, starchy vegetables, bread. If you monitor your blood sugar at least 4 to 5 times per week, first thing in the morning and after your various meals, you can make sure you are keeping your blood sugar under good control. Blood glucose monitors are easy to use and extremely accurate. There are now Bluetooth meters that can allow your healthcare team and family members to monitor your blood sugar from the cloud. For more information on remote blood glucose monitoring, contact Healing Our Village. Thank you for watching Diabetes, the Truth About It. For more information on how to control your blood sugar, sign up for Village Club today and get your own personal diabetes coach. Go to www.hovhealth.com or call 800-788-0941. Remember, you too deserve to live a long and healthy life. Hi, thank you so much for watching Diabetes, the Truth About It. If you have any questions or comments, give us a call at 800-788-0941. If you'd like to see more videos on diabetes or other chronic diseases, go to hovhealth.com. Join us on Facebook and Instagram. We are also excited to announce our brand new mobile app called Step Up 90. It's for weight loss and diabetes prevention. Go to the website and try our 30-day free trial. If you have any questions, again, give us a call, 800-788-0941. Remember, knowledge is power. Hi, I'm Dr. Lenore Coleman, President and founder of Healing Our Village and Executive Director of Total Lifestyle Change. Welcome to Diabetes, the Truth About It. Is your blood sugar under good control? Do you understand the effects of diabetes on your eyes and kidneys? Are you on the correct insulin injection? Are you having trouble controlling your weight? Are you following your physician's advice? It is critical that you're using your diabetes medicines correctly. Diabetes, the Truth About It, is here to help you. Check out HOV Health to learn everything you need to know to manage your diabetes and prevent complications. If you have diabetes, you need to be careful not to get low blood sugars known as hypoglycemia. Normal blood sugar is 60 to 100 milligrams per deciliter. Low blood glucose or hypoglycemia happens when your blood sugar is less than 70 milligrams per deciliter. Everyone with diabetes should be using a blood glucose meter at home to test their blood sugar during the week and when you think you're having a low blood sugar reaction. If you do not have a blood glucose meter, Healing Our Village has low-cost meters and strips available. The signs and symptoms of low blood sugar are as follows: feeling shaky, sweaty, having a headache, feeling hungry or tired, feeling confused or angry, having a fast heartbeat. If you're experiencing any of these symptoms, the way that you treat low blood sugars is by drinking a half a cup of orange juice or apple juice, 1 cup of skim milk, or eating 6 hard candies, not chocolate candy, eating 1 box of raisins, or drinking a half a cup of soda with sugar. After you take these fast sugar sources, follow with a slow sugar source, like a meat sandwich, and then test in 15 minutes. If your blood sugar is still less than 70 milligrams per deciliter, report this to your doctor and repeat the sequence. Be sure to tell your doctor if you are having frequent low blood sugar reactions. Thank you for watching Diabetes, the Truth About It. If you have diabetes, you need to know your numbers. A normal blood sugar is 60 to 100 milligrams per deciliter. If you have diabetes in the morning, we want your blood sugar to be 90 to 130 milligrams per deciliter. During the day, your blood sugar should not go higher than 140 to 160 milligrams per deciliter. You need to know your ABCs. A is for hemoglobin A1C, which should be less than 8% with a goal of 7 to 7.5% based upon your age. This test should be done every 3 months. B is for blood pressure, which should be 130 over 80. You should check your blood pressure 4 times per week at night. If you do not have a blood pressure cuff, call Healing Our Village so we can get you on our remote monitoring program. C is for low density cholesterol, which should be 70 to 100 milligrams per deciliter depending upon your cardiovascular risk score. It is important to know your numbers. Take control of your diabetes to prevent complications. Thank you for watching Diabetes, the Truth About It. Do you have diabetes and cannot figure out what to eat? A balanced diet will help you keep your blood glucose levels in check. Look around you. How many overweight and obese people do you see? We now have an estimated of 160 million Americans who are either obese or overweight. Nearly 75% of American men and more than 60% of American women are obese or overweight. Nearly 30% of boys and girls under age 20 are either obese or overweight. So ask yourself, what's going on? Well, I can tell you, it's fast food and the fact that we're not getting our daily exercise. We know that African Americans and Latinos have especially high numbers, mainly due to what they eat. For people with diabetes, healthy eating habits are especially important. The first step is to have your doctor refer you to a dietitian or a certified diabetes educator. Watch your portions. Eat small meals with lots of vegetables, small amounts of meat and poultry. Avoid cookies, candies, cakes, and other foods that are high in sugar. Try to drink at least 8 to 10 glasses of water per day. Try not to skip meals. Try to eat at least 2 to 3 meals a day and snacks. Never let your body get into what is called starvation mode. Try to eat your biggest meal for breakfast and lunch and have a small dinner. Consider having a soup or salad for dinner. Remember, it is still calories in, calories out. Men should eat about 1,800 to 2,000 calories per day. Women should eat about 1,200 to 1,500 calories per day. You need to start reading your food labels of everything you eat. Focus on the percentage of fat, sugar, and salt that is on the label. People with diabetes do not need to be on a special diet. Just think ahead and plan your meals with a little bit from all of the food groups. Thank you for watching Diabetes, the Truth About It. For more information on how to control your blood sugar, sign up for Village Club today and get your own personal diabetes coach. Go to www.hovhealth.com or call 800-788-0941. Remember, you too deserve to live a long and healthy life. Hi, thank you so much for watching Diabetes, the Truth About It. If you have any questions or comments, give us a call at 800-788-0941. If you'd like to see more videos on diabetes or other chronic diseases, go to hovhealth.com. Join us on Facebook and Instagram. We are also excited to announce our brand new mobile app called Step Up 90. It's for weight loss and diabetes prevention. Go to the website and try our 30-day free trial. If you have any questions, again, give us a call, 800-788-0941. Remember, knowledge is power. I am so happy to see you today. We are here. The sun is shining in Atlanta. Finally, I'm out here at the Village Broadcasting Studio, located in Jonesboro, Georgia. I'm on Main Street. This is my new building, 177 North Main Street in Jonesboro, Georgia. And this is where we film Sugar Busters. Every Saturday, you're going to see a Sugar Busters segment. Most of the days we're live. So we're coming to you live today. And the reason why I mention that is because if you're watching me on Facebook, everybody that you know, everybody that has diabetes in your family, everybody that you work with or you go to church with, set up a watch party for your Facebook group right now. Tell them to tune in to Sugar Busters. Because this is a topic today that everybody needs to know about, whether you have diabetes, you have prediabetes, or if you're just overweight. Because today, what we're going to be talking about is obesity. And we're also going to be talking about nutrition and what you have to have and eat every day to live a healthy life. And right now during COVID-19, we really have to be eating healthy and nutritious because we need to make sure our immune system is looking really well. So we have our slides here, and we're going to be showing you the slides very shortly. But we're going to go ahead and get started and just kind of listen in. So Sugar Busters, this is nutrition, which is segment 3. And we last week we talked about diabetes, just in general. So if you missed that episode, it's on my website. We also talked about the super importance of monitoring your blood sugar. Everybody with diabetes and prediabetes should be monitoring their blood sugar. And you know why? Because when you monitor your blood sugar, you learn the effect of different foods on your blood sugar. So when we're thinking about starches, when we're thinking about sugars or carbohydrates, it's really important that we watch how much of that, so our sugars, our starches are called carbohydrates. We have to watch how much of that we eat in our diet. And for everybody's different. So sometimes you're more, your blood sugars go up higher due to rice. But maybe potatoes don't affect it as much. Maybe your blood sugars go up very high because of breads. All right, but maybe some of the fruits that you're eating doesn't affect it that much. So that is why it's important to monitor your blood sugar so that we can figure out what foods are making your blood sugar spike. Because we don't want the spikes. Because we talked about that last week. It's the spikes, the highs in your blood sugars that affect your eyes, your kidneys, your blood vessels, causes the long-term complications. So if you can figure out the effect of food on your blood sugar, then you're going to be able to keep your blood sugar constant throughout the day. So today, as I said, we're going to be talking about nutrition and healthy eating. But what you see there is a number of the other topics that we talk about. So we talk about heart disease, we talk about hypertension and cholesterol. We'll also do a men's health segment because I really want the men out there to really do a better job of taking care of their health. So I do a special segment for them. And then we talk about coping skills because it's tough when you find out that you have diabetes. A lot of people find out that they have it and really go into depression because they think they can never ever have the things that they like to eat ever again. And they don't want to take insulin injections. And so there's all sorts of stuff that happens. But you know, really, truly, in this day and age, for most people, we can control your blood sugar very nicely with you changing your eating habits and getting exercise. We can usually control your blood sugars with just the oral medication. So you don't necessarily have to go on an injection. But there are some people, in order for us to get you to your number of goal of an A1C as close to 7% as possible, you may have to take an insulin injection. So there are certain keys to managing your blood sugar. And this slide sort of goes through that. So it's a combination of healthy eating, exercise, the choices that you're making, monitoring your blood sugar. But you see in the center of this picture is education. And so you really need, if you have diabetes, to go through all of the 7 courses that we go through with Sugar Busters every Saturday. And I actually have a book that I've written. It's called A Self-Care Guide to Diabetes Control. It's available on my website, hovhealth.com. So you should get that book because it has a lot of really good information in there that will help you manage your blood sugar. Now, the question that people always ask me is, why do we need to watch what we eat? And you see our little gentleman that's on the screen. He's not happy. He's not happy with what that scale is telling him, all right? But I applaud him because he got on the scale, all right? What happens with people who are overweight? They don't weigh because they don't want to know. And they also don't have very many mirrors in their house because they don't want to really look and see what they look like. I tell you that you need to weigh every day or every other day. And I tell you that you need mirrors in your house, especially in your bedroom, because you need to see what you look like when you first get out of bed, right? Put on a bathing suit with the least amount of clothes you can have on. That's what you need to look at in the mirror, because that's what you look like. And if you don't like the way you look, change it. And you can do that, because obesity is a huge problem here in the United States, with 66% or more people being overweight and 33% or more people being obese. So we are probably the largest nation, developed nation in the world in terms of obesity. So we are not doing a good job here, and so we have to do better, because obesity has been linked to a lot of very serious side effects. Let's talk about stroke. That's at the top there, right there, your brain. So obesity can increase your risk of stroke. Also heart attacks by clogging up your blood vessels and your veins, all right? Also heart failure. A lot of people that have heart failure are also obese. And then kidney failure. All of these things are affected by obesity. And so if you want to decrease your chance of getting these long-term complications, then trying to get your body weight down as close to normal as possible is a good idea. Now, how do you know if you're overweight? Well, you can get on the scale, and there are charts that show you that what you're supposed to be based upon your height and your weight. And that's what your doctor uses when he's trying to figure out if you're overweight. That's also what your insurance company uses when you're trying to figure out how much of an insurance premium you need to pay. And people who are overweight and obese pay more for insurance than people who aren't. But there's something called the body mass index, and that's the value that I like to use. And this body mass index basically is a measure of height and weight that applies to both adults, men and women. So on this chart, you can see that they're considering you to be overweight once you get past 29.9. So if your BMI, your body mass index, is 30 or greater, right, then they're talking about that you are overweight. And if you're 30 or greater, you're obese. So for overweight, it's actually 25. They consider you to be overweight. And greater than 30, they consider you to be obese. Now, I have patients, we take care of patients here at Healing Our Village. I have patients who have BMIs of 40, 45, 50. So they are very, very overweight. So African Americans and Latino populations have the highest rate of obesity here in our country, in the United States. So it's really important that we know our number and be able to calculate that. So if you don't know your BMI, right now where you're listening to me, just get your phone, go to Google, put in BMI calculator, and put in your height and your weight, hit the button, it's going to tell you your BMI. Because we want you to place yourself on charts that look like this, and we don't want you to be in the red zone. We want you to be in the green zone. So we want you to be normal weight, as close as possible. So you have to sort of figure out your starting point, so therefore you know where you're going. Because the data shows that if you lose 5 to 10% of your body weight, so wherever you're starting at, just multiply it times 5% or 10%, then that way you will decrease your blood pressure and your blood sugar significantly. We know that. Just a 5 to 10% weight loss makes a huge difference in your blood pressure and your blood sugar. Okay, so for instance, if you're 230 pounds, 10% is 23 pounds. Yeah, that's your goal. You would try to lose 23 pounds, and we would like you to lose that slowly. All right, we're trying to have you shoot for 2 pounds a week. So losing it slowly, gradually, over a 4 to 6 month period of time. That's what our goal is for you. All right, so these are going to be small changes that you're going to make in what you eat and how you cook it, so that you'll be able to get there. Now, this is an African proverb, and it basically says, if you wait for tomorrow, I guarantee you tomorrow will come. And if you don't wait for tomorrow, tomorrow's still going to come. So stop waiting. I know everybody says, well, I'm going to start my diet on Monday. Okay, so no. Today, I want you to do something toward starting to get the weight off. And let me tell you the easiest thing to do. I'm going to tell you the one thing that I tell people all the time. They say, Dr. Coleman, how can I lose weight? And I say to those folks, stop drinking your calories. Stop drinking your calories. So for those of you who are going out and buying various iced teas and sodas and all these things, juices from, the various mini marts, right, and grocery stores, I want you to turn that label and read it and look at how many calories you're consuming in that drink. And that thing should be 5 calories, no more than 5 calories. We'd like it to be 0. So you got to stop drinking your calories. That's the first thing you can do to be able to go toward losing weight. If you go into a fast food drive-through and you're getting a Coke, all right, and you're getting an extra large because you usually supersize everything, that extra large soda that you're drinking has about 250 calories in it. It's a lot of calories. All right, so you got to stop drinking your calories. You want to eat your calories, all right, so that you won't be hungry. So we're trying to encourage you to start eating right. All right, and this is a picture of what eating right looks like. So you see there's a lot of veggies, but you also see there's chocolate. The diet that I like the best is called the Dr. Will's inflammatory diet. It decreases the inflammation in your body. I think it's important that we decrease the inflammation, because it's the inflammation that causes a lot of the cardiovascular problems, but it also is the one that decreases your immune system. And so just being overweight or obese means that you have a lot of inflammation in your body. So in the Dr. Will diet, it allows you to have a little bit, not a lot. I didn't say go out there and start eating chocolate, folks. I didn't say that. I said you can have a little bit of chocolate. You can also have a little bit of red wine, all right, if your doctor says that that's okay, all right? And it has green tea as part of the diet. And I'm a real proponent of green tea. Green tea also helps your immune system. And right now, with this virus going around the country, everybody needs to be thinking about their immune system, making sure that they're eating healthy, they're eating right, and they're getting their full complement of minerals. So your zinc and your magnesium and all of those, your chromium picolinate, you need to get as many minerals in your diet as possible. And that you do that by fresh fruits and vegetables. And minimizing the amount of fast foods that you eat. So there's something called the food pyramid, my pyramid. This comes from the FDA. And this really is very helpful. If you go up online and you just put in my pyramid, it's going to tell, it has recipes, it has how many calories they want you to eat. It shows you what foods you should eat a lot of and what foods you should have a small amount of. We want you to try to eat 3 meals a day. And that's hard. It's hard. I know for me, it's hard. Breakfast is the hardest one for me because I'm usually running late, and so I just usually leave the house without eating anything. So I end up taking stuff with me in the car, is what I end up doing in order to get the food in, which is not what I'm telling you to do, but I'm just telling you that's what I have to do. So same time every day, don't skip meals. Try to get your 3 meals, a couple of snacks in, and trying to eat the same amount every day. That's very important. So here's your Dr. Will's anti-inflammatory diet, and I really like that, right? So you see it's got your chocolate, it's got your wine, it's got your green tea, all there at the top of the pyramid. When it's at the top of the pyramid, you see the top of the pyramid is small. So that means it wants you to eat a small amount of those things at the top of the pyramid. It wants you to eat a lot of the things that they show at the bottom of the pyramid, right? So when you're looking at these food pyramids, that's usually what it tells you to do. And you can see at the bottom of the pyramid, they want you to eat as much fruits and vegetables as you possibly can. Now, it's important that you plan your meals. You need to go grocery shopping. You need to get the stuff into your refrigerator. It's very important because when you come home or you're ready to eat, you need to have thawed out or have ready to eat what you're planning to have for dinner that night. You need to think about what you're going to eat for lunch. Are you going to make your lunch and take it with you? You got to plan your meals. Because if you don't do meal planning, that's going to be a real problem. So I think that that is something that you definitely need to do. So improving health through optimal nutrition is very, very important. So this is another thing that we have to think about. Now, how do you figure out meal planning? How do you approach it? Okay, well, I just gave you the food guide pyramids, all right? There are certain ways that you can do it that are easier than others. Carbohydrate counting is what a lot of people with diabetes do, where the doctor has you actually counting your carbohydrates, and that's how you know how much insulin to give yourself after or before a meal. There's something called the plate method, which is the one that I like. So when you have your plate, half of your plate needs to be fruits and vegetables. Okay, only a quarter of your plate should be meat and a quarter of your plate should be starches. You got to figure out what you're going to do when you're away from home. And and most patients can have some alcoholic drinks. We usually want you to only do wine though. We don't really want you to stay away from the hard liquors like whiskey and bourbon and vodka. Rum especially, because those rum, is made from sugar cane. So that has a lot of carbohydrate calories in it. But your decision to drink or not drink should be discussed with your physician so that you can decide if that's something you should do. Remember that when you're thinking about alcohol basically is like putting on a pat of butter. It's considered to be a fat. So you'll say, oh, I'm drinking my red wine. That means I'm having my grapes for the day. No, it's not a fruit. Okay, folks, it's a fat. All right, sorry. I hate to burst your bubble, but that's what's up. So this slide looks at the foods that are high in calories and low in calories. So we want you to try to have small amounts or avoid the foods that are high in calories so that you could eat more of the foods that are low in calories. So high in calories, salad dressing, peanut butter, whole milk, fried foods, fried chicken, cakes, cookies, ice creams. All of those are many of those are carbohydrates. There's sugars and starches, and we want you to keep those down. Foods that are low in calories are your pears, your grapes, your apples, your melons like cantaloupe, very good. Strawberries, very good. Blueberries, all your berries are usually low in calories. They also have some fiber in it. We want you to eat foods that are high in water and high in fiber. Whole grains, if you're going to pick between brown bread and white bread, you're going to eat the brown bread. So if you're going to pick between white rice and brown rice, you're going to eat the brown rice. So we want to increase your fiber as much as you can. Lettuce, cucumbers, full of water. So that's a good thing. We want you to eat as much of that as possible. I try to eat a salad every day. I happen to like coleslaw, so I like cabbage. So I usually just buy that and I chop it up. I have it ready for me in the refrigerator. So all I have to do is just come in and get that out of the container and my salad's ready to go. Guidelines to healthy eating: we want you to roast, bake, and broil your food. We want you to trim as much of the fat off of the meat as possible. Avoid frying. I happen to love fried foods, so I bought myself a hot air fryer. So that's how I eat my fried foods, because I love fried foods. And I'm telling you, this hot air fryer is amazing. I don't know how it does it, but these fried foods taste exactly like they do, but instead I'm not putting it in a frying pan with a whole bunch of oil. I try to eat very little bits of bacon, sausage, hot dogs. I don't use butter. Very little margarine. I do eat nuts, but only a small amount. You can't have a lot of nuts. Again, salad dressings. I usually buy low-calorie salad dressings, so that's what I put on my salad. So these are all the sort of things you need to think about. We want you to eat more fish and chicken, turkey. All right, you can have meat, but we want the number of meals of meat in a week to be few, only maybe 2 to 3. When you're talking about a week, that's 3 meals a day, it's 21 meals. So we're talking about maybe 2 or 3 of those meals you're eating meat. We want you to, if you're drinking milk, it needs to be skim milk or low-fat milk. If you're cooking, we want you to use some good nonstick pans so the food doesn't stick, and then you're using those sprays, coating sprays, to coat the pan. Some of the newer pans don't even need that. We want you to use, if you're going to use oil, you're going to use vegetable oil. We like canola oil as the one that we usually recommend. You're not going to be cooking in butter or margarine anymore. Now, let's break it down in terms of what are the different food groups. Okay, the ones that we care about for diabetes, the ones that increase your blood sugar, are carbohydrates. So when we're talking about carbohydrates, we're talking about, is it a simple carbohydrate or a complex carbohydrate? We want you to eat as much complex carbohydrates as possible. So a simple carbohydrate would be like drinking orange juice, right? That's a very fast source. Anything you drink gets into your bloodstream very, very quickly. Anything you eat takes longer to be digested, and the longer it takes to digest, the better it is for your blood sugar, all right? It's because we know that it's the carbohydrates that are quickly converted to glucose, and that's what dramatically increases your blood sugar, all right? So now you have to have some carbohydrates because that's the body's main source of energy. So you have to have them. We just want you to pick very carefully which ones you include in your diet and not to eat a whole bunch of carbohydrates. Now, let's talk about the different carbohydrates. So the ones are the simple sugars, the fast carbohydrates. So that's your candy, your fruit, your table sugar, your corn syrup. A lot of times when you're looking at your labels and then you say, oh, well, this doesn't have any sugar in it. Okay, keep reading, because what the label will say is corn syrup, and corn syrup is a type of sugar. All right, so if whatever you're eating has a lot of corn syrup in it, that means it's high in carbohydrate. All right, now the thing about carbohydrates and why people like to eat them is because it satisfies you. All right, so it decreases your hunger. It's absorbed quickly in your body and gives you that energy boost that we talked about. But this whole idea that fruit juice concentrate is healthier, okay, than things that are sweetened with sugar, that's not true. That's a myth. So when you're talking about eating, again, you're trying to avoid those simple sugars, those fast sugars, and you're trying to eat more complex carbohydrates because it takes more energy for your body to digest it. And it usually has more vitamins and minerals and fiber in it, all right? So eating an orange is better than having orange juice because it's going to take more for your body to break it down, and it has fiber in it. So therefore, that's why when you're always making these choices, this versus that, that's what you got to keep in mind. We also know that complex carbohydrates are very good for decreasing your insulin levels. So it improves insulin sensitivity. That means that your pancreas, which we talked about last week, their pancreas doesn't have to secrete as much insulin into your bloodstream when it's dealing with complex carbohydrates that take a longer time to digest. If you drink your carbohydrate, or it's a fast source, then your insulin spikes in order to compensate for what you've just eaten, and that's bad because what insulin does is make fat. Insulin helps you store fat. That's its job. And the higher your insulin levels are, the higher it is that your body's going to want to store fat. Okay, so let's talk some more about complex carbohydrates because this is important. So that includes your breads, your cereals, your beans, your pasta, your potatoes, all your starchy vegetables. Okay, all of those are considered to be complex carbohydrates, all right? They're a very good source of daily calories. They're very effective in giving you some energy. And when you're thinking about the fiber content in those complex carbohydrates, you're thinking about, is it soluble fiber or insoluble fiber? So there is a difference. And that's when you say, oh man, I don't know what she's talking about. That's when we need to start talking to our dietitians. Every one of you out there who are trying to lose weight or have diabetes need to talk to a registered dietitian. They will go through what you're eating with you, what foods you like to eat, and they'll start having these conversations with you about, is it simple or is it complex? Is the fiber soluble or insoluble? That's when you start to really refine what you're eating, so it's very important. Now let's talk a little bit about protein. Everybody needs protein in their diet. All right, if you're a vegetarian, if you're vegan, it is hard for you to get all the protein that you need. It's hard. Not that you can't, but it's just harder. All right, because the most common source of protein are meats, fish, chicken, turkey. Those are your most common sources of protein, and protein is important because it rebuilds your muscles and it helps your enzyme systems and your body digest your food. So that's important. That's important. If you start to break down muscle, then this is bad. We don't want you to do that. So that's why you need to have as much protein in your diet as possible. So if you are vegan, you need to really be sure that you're getting enough of your plant-based proteins as you possibly can. All right? You need about 15% of your total calories, or about 75 grams of your diet that you eat on a pretty much daily basis, needs to be protein. So that's about 6 to 8 ounces of protein per day. 2 to 3 servings of 8 ounces of a non-fat dairy can also help you with protein. But a lot of folks who are vegan also don't do dairy. So that makes it harder, again, for them to get the protein that they need. They also sometimes don't like to eat animal byproducts, so they don't eat eggs. All right, so being a vegan can be very difficult. Most of the folks that I know who tend to stay very healthy and also keep their weight down are pescatarians. So they basically have taken meat out of their diet, but they do eat a lot of fish, and fish is very healthy for you. Let's talk a little bit about milk products. We would like you to have dairy, especially if you're an African American. There was a study done with looking at sort of what African Americans do best with in terms of diets, and it was called the DASH diet, which was dietary to stop dietary approaches to stop hypertension, DASH, dietary approaches to stop hypertension. It found that in African Americans that were on this particular diet that had dairy in it, their blood pressures were lower. And that's good because African Americans have the highest rate of hypertension in the world. Okay, so we always want to think about high blood pressure and your heart when we're doing anything related to your eating habits and also trying to manage your diabetes. So we want you to have at least 2 or so servings of dairy a day. We would like you to do skim or low fat. That yogurt also counts. And for those of you who love yogurt, that's good. Just read the back of the label to make sure that it's about 100 calories, 120 calories. You don't want to be eating yogurt that's 250, 300 calories, okay? So we want you to get your dairy in, but you also have to look at the calorie content of that dairy that you're taking in. Fat. Everybody has to have a little fat in their diet. That is true. But you need to reduce your total fat intake down to 30% or less. So we, again, need you reading those labels, those food labels, to look at the fat content. And we want you to use monounsaturated fats as opposed to saturated fats. So let's talk a little bit about that. What is a saturated fat? A saturated fat are usually seen in meat, in lard. For those of you who remember Crisco shortening, right, that's a saturated fat. Butter, whole milk, coconut oil, palm oil. They may be healthy, but they have a lot of fat. And then there are some hydrogenated vegetable oils that are also fat. So here is a picture of what these fats look like. These are saturated fats, and you see the white in there. Okay, so you can see what this looks like. So you can see that butter and beef have the highest amount, also lamb. But if you start talking about your fish, very little fat in your fish, right? So that's saturated fats. You know, we're going to take a break right here. We're going to come back and talk to you more about the types of fats that you're eating in your diet. But let me let you get up, stretch your legs, have a glass of water, and come on back.
Okay, take it out there and bring it up. I'm going to keep going. Okay.
Is that better?
Yeah.
Epigallocatechin gallate,
Okay.
superoxide dismutase, glutathione peroxidase. Now, those are names you probably aren't familiar with, but you should be. Those are antioxidants known to fight free radicals. In fact, did you know that some viruses are actually alcohol resistant? One major study showed that by adding the epigallocatechins from green tea, it killed the virus on contact. Please allow me to introduce myself. My name is Mark Johnson. I'm here to share with you an exciting new, technologically advanced, patent-pending green tea hand sanitizing wash from Handout Protection.
Yes and no, you don't like to
This is not your typical hand gel designed to just smear all over your hand. This is a hand-washing sanitizer to cover your entire hand, both the front and back of your hand, in between your fingers and your wrist.
Using buffer.
This is a non-sticky sanitizing